the propositions, the kind you vote on. Oh, prurient minds. That's not this kind of radio. This is kid-friendly. And now for the Facebook. And I got a thing up on Facebook, and I check it once in a while, and I'm not a big Facebooker. Okay, things are going on. I need to, okay. I need to work on my billboard for the Facebook. Evening news, and got to put the host line in here. C-H-A-R-D. Yes, exciting times right now politically. Surveys, polls, they're actually quite hard to do. And I was watching Michael Moore earlier on MSNBC, and he was saying, you got to go vote. Drag your friends and relatives and vote. And that's what we're facing. And so turnout is key. The more people who vote, the more vital and vibrant our democracy is. And that's a real important thing. It is 8:02 p.m. You are webtuned to KXVS.org. I am Richard Slezak. This is the Saturday Evening News. And good evening to those of you on YouTube and coming up on Facebook. So it looks like my Facebook billboard is ready to go. And in 3, 2, 1... yeah, starting on the Facebook. Okay. Now we got to do a little... okay, and I hope I can put up a show logo without too much... effort here. Okay. We got the library up there, and I am scanning through, scrolling through the library of show logos. That happens every time. All right, we got it up on the screen, and over into the corner it goes. Okay, that's about how we'll have it this evening. And we're webcasting on YouTube and Facebook Live. Again, this is KXVS.org. And I'm pretty sure we're... well, seems to be the same image on, let me play with this a little bit more. Says we're webcasting, but then it's only the same camera. And I'm trying to figure out which one it is. And that's not faring too well. So I'm going to do a little switch over here. Three, four, five. Oh, that seems to be a little bit better. Okay, we just had a switch there. Oh, it's on different screens. Oh, okay. All right. All right, so things are okay. Now there I am. Okay. All righty. The webcasting is operating successfully. Alrighty, continuing with our sponsors, it's 8:05 p.m. This is KXVS.org, and our sponsors include the Miracle Mile Bookstore, 2210 Pacific Avenue, just up the street from us, and you can be a sponsor too. You're a small business here in Stockton. It's not a lot of money, and we'll talk you up daily. A sister bookstore is Doors Book Recyclery, 3 blocks up from us at 2310 Pacific Avenue. Books for your home, books for the little libraries around the town. Yeah, you could buy them and give them away. It's called generosity. It'll help children to read. Habitat for Humanity has a restore here in town. It's at 4933 West Lane, 100 yards south of March Lane. And you can buy tools, equipment, light equipment, not the meters and such like. New stuff arrives daily. Building accoutrements, doors, windows, paint, cleaning supplies, wallboard, HVAC, electrical apparatus. It's all there. Furniture. Yeah, it's all there at the Restore. Stuff for your house. It's an alternative shopping place. You can go there and feel the merchandise. It's not this weird shopping online. Tender Donuts, we bake fresh daily. Yes, the Donut Joneses are good. They'll be opening at 5:30 in the morning. Fulfill that Donut Jones. Hit them up at Tender Donuts. We bake fresh daily. Oh, Monday through Saturday, they open at 4:30 in the morning, so you can hit that Donut Jones early. Go in there, get a cup of coffee, and, a dozen donuts, or half a dozen, 3. Chow it. Yeah, big time. Start that day off right with a quart of fine coffee you can get right there at Tender Donuts, and a dozen donuts, and chow them on the way to work. And so with that, we continue with our spot. Oh, they're at 1304 East March Lane. That's Tender Donuts at 1304 March Lane. Plastics, yes, plastics. When you're through with them, recycle them. But they're wonderful to use. And plastics, yes, the hard stuff. Rods, tubes, sheets can be got at Custom Plastics and Signs, 326 East Dr. Martin Luther King Boulevard here in Stockton. They'll plastic fabricate. They'll build you displays. They got some already built. They do signage. They got their signage up around town, this political signage. They do stuff like that. Stencils for stenciling that you do, apparently, or they do and you do. Vehicle and boat graphics, yeah. Hey, I've seen that stuff done on RVs, and they print it, and then you apply it. So it's way cool. Though you need a T-shirt printed, they're on it. Business cards printed, they're on it. At 326 East Dr. Martin Luther King Boulevard here in Stockton. Millennium Computer Repair, they cruise all over the county. Give them a call. They're mobile. They come to you to fix your computer. In the 209 at 922-1879, that's Millennium Computer Repair. Virus and spyware removal. They can program them. They can do password removal, hardware and software repair. If you're up in Lodi, you need a business card. Leaders at 500 East Lodi Avenue in Lodi. You need a T-shirt printed. You're in Lodi. Get it done at Leaders T-shirt Printing, 500 East Lodi Avenue, Suite A at Garfield. All right, those are some of our sponsors, and you can be one too. Again, we're here at 231 East Bedford Road. Give us a call at 467-4455, 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. Yeah, get your friends and pals, everybody out there. You can join KXVS, become a member if you have any heart or mind for radio, for media. This is the place to come and do it. You can learn by doing. You can build a body of work, and then you can apply for the full-time work. So you can learn engineering here. You can learn to do a show by doing shows. So bring it. Oh, are you a local singing group or band? We want your music, and we want you, here. So, yeah, come on by, bring your music, tell us when you're performing, about your performances and everything, and we'll burn a CD for you, into our stuff, and put your music on KXVS.org. So, continuing. Let me get to this audition computer. Well, wait a minute. I can put that away. What the heck? So I shrank down the wrong thing. Okay, I gotta do some cleanup here. This might take a few minutes. In the meantime, I'll continue. Yeah, there. Again, we have various recordings, electronic, up on one of our computers, and these have to be put away, and this is part of the engineering, radio engineering to be done, and it's a form of maintenance. And in the meantime, over here at, no, I can't do the Ralph Hurley show because I'm already up going on Facebook and YouTube, and that includes music because that's what he brings in, tons of music. But he doesn't go out on Facebook and YouTube. It's pretty much at KXVS.org. And we have a long one we're putting to bed here. It says it's, about 2 more minutes, and I hope it isn't that long. But whatever is, is. Oh, in the meantime, I can share with you more about what we're going to be talking about. I could have turned those on over there, but oh well. On second thought, it was a long reach, and here I am. So, again, we're looking at the coming election, and we're going to be going over the propositions. Okay, and those will be 5 through 12, in which Proposition 5, the Republicans want you to vote yes. On 6, they want you to vote yes. On 7, they want you to vote yes. That is, they, the Republicans. On 8, they want you to vote no. On 10, they want you to vote no. On 11, the Republicans want the California Republican Party, its representatives, want you, or took a stance of yes on Proposition 11 and no on Proposition 12. The Democratic Party of California, through representatives from its central committees, voted accordingly. On Proposition 5, they are voting no. On Proposition 6, no. On Proposition 7, yes. On Proposition 8, yes. On Proposition 10, yes. On Proposition 11, no. On Proposition 12, yes. So, agreement on 7, but 5, 6, 10, 11, and 12 are opposites. Most interesting and reflective of the parties. Alrighty, we're having some progress on the audition. And, whoop, okay, right on. We're exporting files back to their proper library. And so propositions become law. That's why it's important to vote on them. And you might hold, it's kind of black or white, You'll be voting like one party or the other. And what we're passing along here is, again, taking it from the top, is Proposition 1. There's disagreement. Democrats, yes. Propositions, no. Proposition 4, Proposition 2, they're both yeses. Proposition 3, they're both neutral. Proposition 4, back and forth. Republicans, no. Democrats, yes. And as we said earlier, 5 is yes, the Republicans, no, the Democrats. 6 is yes, Republicans, no, the Democrats. 7 is a yes, yes. 8 is a no, yes, Republicans, no, Democrats, yes. 10 is a no, Democrats, yes. 11 is a Republicans, yes, Democrats, no. And 12 is Republicans no, Democrats yes. All righty. Continuing to march here on the addition until we clear the screen. And looks like we got one left. Oh, so it's just a simple close. All right. And here we go. All right, we got a clear screen. And let me do some writing here. Our show log is for the Saturday evening news. And so far, we have done YouTube, Facebook, sponsors, cleared audition, 6 items, and so we continue here, and again we're going to be going over the propositions, and it's 8:21, and we started chattering about 7:50 p.m. and that was about 8:02, and 8:21, and I'm going to get myself a well, let's get these microphones going over here at the big table and make our migration. Okay, testing 1, 2, 3. Great. Microphones are working. I got the little wind machine going here at the table. And, oh yeah, one more thing to do. We're about to start the main portion of our show. And with that, we got to do a billboard here, and that will be starting with the date, and today is November 3rd, and that's Saturday evening news. Okay, about to get started with the main part of our show. It is 8:23 p.m., 3, 2, 1. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Saturday Evening News coming to you over KXVS.org. We are going to continue with the propositions coming up on the ballot here in California, since we're coming to you from the John Moriarty Studio, 231 West Bedford Road, Stockton, California. And we're going to migrate across, and I'll be going on to different cameras. Let's see if the light can change in here. We're going to fiddle-faddle around, and whoops, that's not it. Not the way to change it. Oh, and I am just Snag City on the, get that up there. And get this over here. Now, we were at Proposition 4, we finished it up. And I'm going to turn that fan off. And we are getting started at 8:23 p.m. Show start. And we've been, let's go right on into Prop 5. And Prop 5, the Republicans want you to vote yes, and the Democrats want you to vote no. So let's just look at the arguments for and against accordingly. And it removes the following current requirements for homeowners who are over 55 years old or severely disabled to transfer their property tax base to a replacement residence, that replacement property be of equal or lesser value, replacement residence be in specific county, and the transfer occur only once. Removes similar replacement value and location requirements on transfers for contaminated or disaster-destroyed property. Requires adjustments to the replacement property's tax base based on the new property's value. Summary of legislative analysts' estimate of net state and local government fiscal impact. Schools and other local governments each probably will lose over $100 million in annual property tax revenue in the first few years, growing over time to about $1 billion per year in today's dollars. Similar increase in state costs to backfill school property tax losses. California local governments, cities, counties, schools, and special districts levy property taxes on property owners based on the value of their property. Property taxes are a major revenue source for local governments, raising over $60 billion. Now, the calculating property owner's tax bill, the rate is, typical owner's rate is 1.1%. It's in the year a property is purchased. Its taxable value is its purchase price. Each year after that, the property's taxable value is adjusted for inflation by up to 2%. Movers often face increased property tax bills. When a homeowner buys a different home, the purchase price of the new home often exceeds the taxable value of the buyer's prior home, even when the homes have similar market values. This leads to a higher property tax bill for the home buyer. In some cases, special rules allow existing homeowners to move to a different home without paying higher property taxes. These special rules apply to homeowners who are over 55 or severely disabled or whose property has been impacted by a natural disaster or contamination. Now, there also a county government may allow eligible home owners to transfer their taxable values to homes in the county from homes in different counties. I'm trying to compact this. Cities and counties collect taxes on the transfer of homes and other real estate. Statewide transfer taxes raise about $1 billion for cities and counties. Counties administer the property tax. Now, California taxes personal income can include profits from selling a home. The personal income taxes raise over $80 billion a year. The measure amends the state constitution to expand the special rules that may give property tax savings to eligible homeowners when they buy a different home. Red light flashes. Do you want to change the state constitution with a proposition? Allows moves anywhere in the state. Now this would allow moves by anywhere in the state. Allows the purchase of more expensive home. It reduces taxes for newly purchased homes that are less expensive. Removes limits on how many times a homeowner can use the special rules. The fiscal effects reduce property tax revenues to local governments, reduce taxes from people who would have moved away, potentially higher taxes from higher home prices and more home building. It would also result in more state spending for schools. Current law requires the state to provide more funding to most schools to cover their property tax losses. As a result, state costs for schools would increase by over $100 million in the first few years. Over time, these increased state costs for schools would grow to about $1 billion per year in today's dollars. Okay, increase in property transfer tax revenues. As the measure would increase home sales, it would increase property transfer taxes collected by cities and counties. This revenue increases likely would be in the tens of millions of dollars. Increased income tax revenues, because the measure would increase the number of homes sold each year, it likely would increase the number of taxpayers required to pay income taxes on the profits from the sale of their homes. This probably would increase state income tax revenues by tens of millions of dollars per year. Now note tens of millions in these two modifications, but the cost transferring over to the state would start at $100 million per year. So those changes wouldn't cover the state government cost. Continuing, higher administrative costs for counties. This would result in one-time costs for county assessors in the tens of millions of dollars or more, with somewhat smaller ongoing cost increases. It is currently 8:34 here at the Voice of Stockton. And so, again, Prop 5, argument in favor of Prop 5. This was written by Kenny Lilburn, Executive Director, Highland Senior Center, Kyle Mills, Commander of American Veterans Department of California, Susan Chandler, President, Californians for Disability Rights Incorporated. And here I will share with you most of what is an argument in favor of Prop 5. Gives all seniors 55 and over and severely disabled the right to move without penalty that exists today in order to protect seniors severely disabled who want to move to safer, more practical homes or closer to their families. It limits property tax penalties they could face if they purchase another home in any county of the state. It eliminates moving challenges for seniors. under Prop 5, seniors would be able to transfer their home's current taxable value no matter where in the state they might choose to move. It empowers retirees living on fixed incomes. It eliminates the possibility of 100%, double 100%, 200%, even 300% increase in property taxes that retired teachers, firefighters, police, and other retirees often have to pay if they want to sell their current home to buy another one somewhere else in California. Okay, that's where the claims of protecting them come in. Yeah, well, justice. Under current law, property taxes are capped. Yeah, but when you move to a new place, when you buy a new place, no, that's a new purchase price. If they choose to move to a new home, their tax base will often increase dramatically. Prop 5 protects these Californians from this moving penalty by allowing them to keep a lower tax base. They also add the word fairer. Extends the benefits of Proposition 13, brings tax stability and peace of mind. Will help alleviate the housing shortage and will bring tax stability and peace of mind. Empower severely disabled people trapped in inadequate homes. The homes are no longer safe or practical for them, but they cannot afford to move because their property taxes could skyrocket. That could be even if they move to a less expensive home. Severely disabled homeowners would be able to move to more suitable homes without being subjected to the moving penalty. Okay, that, again, Prop 5, Republicans say yes. Well, if that sounds Republicanese to you, that's why they like it. Argument against Proposition 5. Democratic speech here. Vote no on Prop 5. We have a terrible affordable housing crisis in California. Prop 5 will do nothing to make this crisis better. What it will do, further raise cost of housing. Will lead to hundreds of millions of dollars and potentially $1 billion in local revenue losses to our public schools. Will cost local services, including fire, police, healthcare. Yeah. Gives huge tax breaks to wealthy Californians. Huge windfall to the real estate industry. Oh, they're the only sponsor of the initiative. It does not build any new buildings, does not help first-time home buyers, does not bring down the cost of rent, does not address homelessness. It'll make the current situation worse. Older homeowners who move to a smaller and less expensive house have been able to bring their current property tax with them for the past 30 years, an encouragement to leave the larger, more expensive homes to a younger family. They can do it once in their lifetime. That was an extension of Prop 13. If Prop 5 passes, a homeowner of over 55 can use their tax break to keep buying more expensive houses over and over anywhere in California. Meanwhile, younger first-time home buyers with less income will face higher housing prices, and renters will have an even harder time becoming homeowners. The real estate interests who cynically paid to put Prop 5 on the ballot have decided to pit some homeowners against others. So this was written by Carol Kim, board member, Middle Class Taxpayers Association, Seamus Roller, executive director, National Housing Law Project, and Gary Passmore, president, Congress of California Seniors. And now we have rebuttal to argument in favor of Prop 5, and again, this would be the Democratic side. Nan Brasmer, President, California Alliance for Retired Americans. Helen Hutchison, President of the League of Women Voters of California. Tim Gage, former Director, California Department of Finance. Now, the rebuttal to argument against Prop 5 is written by Marilyn Markham, board member, California Senior Advocates League. Tom Campbell, PhD, professor of economics, and also, I think, former congressman and state legislator. Michael C. Gnest, former director, California Department of Finance. And just the high points, rebuttal to argument, well, no, I'll just leave it at that. Okay. We have 8:43 p.m. here at the Voice of Stockton. And I want to get through these, so, oh, my. Prop 6. It eliminates road repair and transportation funding, requires certain fuel taxes and vehicle fees be approved by the electorate initiative constitutional amendment. It repeals a 2017 transportation laws tax and fee provisions that pay for repairs and improvements to local roads, state highways, and public transportation. Requires the legislature to submit any measure enacting specified taxes or fees on gas or diesel fuel or on the privilege to operate a vehicle on public highways to the electorate for approval. The summary of legislative analyst estimate of net state and local government fiscal impact: reduced ongoing state revenues of $5.1 billion from the elimination of fuel and vehicle taxes passed by the legislature in 2017. These revenues mainly would have paid for highway and road maintenance and repairs, as well as transit programs. The requirement that voters approve new or increased fuel and vehicle taxes passed by the legislature in the future could result in lower revenues from such taxes than otherwise would have been available. Oh my. Republicans say yes, Democrats say no. Fuel taxes. State charges excise taxes on gasoline and diesel fuel, set on a per gallon basis. State constitution generally requires that the revenues from these fuel taxes be spent on highways, roads, and transit. Vehicle taxes. Requires vehicle owners to pay two specific taxes for the privilege of operating a vehicle on public highways. 1, vehicle license fee. 2, recently enacted transportation improvement fees, both of which are based on a vehicle's value. State constitution requires that transportation improvement fee revenues be spent on highways, roads, and transit. Funding in California currently is estimated, that is transportation funding, to total $35 billion. $16 billion comes from local sources, $12 billion from state sources, and $7 billion from federal sources. Sales taxes, transit fees, and city and county general funds are the local sources. Federal fuel taxes are the federal source. State funding comes from state fuel and vehicle taxes. State funding has increased by about 3/4 over the past 2 years, mainly due to recent legislation. Continuing, SB 1 increased the base gasoline tax by 12 cents per gallon and the diesel sales tax by 4%. Set fixed rates on a second add-on gasoline excise tax and the diesel excise tax, both of which previously could change each year based on fuel prices. SB 1 created the transportation improvement fee, ranges from $25 to $175 per year, and a fee specifically for zero-emission vehicles set at $100 per year for model years 2020 and later. Provides for inflation adjustments in the future. The state expects taxes to raise $4.4 billion this fiscal year. 2 years from now, when all taxes are in effect and the inflation adjustments have started, the state expects the taxes to raise $5.1 billion per year. The state constitution requires nearly all these new revenues be spent on transportation purposes. Prop 6 amends the state constitution to require the legislature to get voter approval for new or increased taxes on the sale, storage, use, or consumption of gasoline or diesel fuel, as well as for taxes paid for the privilege of operating a vehicle on the public highways. And we have Senate Bill 1 revenues. The tax rates before were 18 cents. They went up to, on diesel, excise-based gasoline, to 30 cents. And diesel taxes varied before. They're now 36 cents per gallon. And the sales tax was at 1.75%. Now it's at 5.75%. And so, continuing, Prop 6 eliminates any such fuel or vehicle taxes passed by the legislature after January 1st, 2017, and up to the date that Prop 6 takes effect in December. This would eliminate the increased fuel taxes and the transportation improvement fees enacted by Senate Bill 1. And we currently have 8:50 p.m. here at the Voice of Stockton. We're going over the propositions, trying to inform you as clearly as possible about what's going on, what they are, and, well, definitely where the parties stand. A lot of not real information, factoids and opinions have come across on the TV, and they're really not all that informative, except in negative ways. Yum, yum, yum. So, let us continue. 40, 41. Okay. Argument in favor of Prop 6. This, you figure, hey, the Republicans are for it. Now, who do we have writing it? John Cox, honorary chairman, give voters a voice. Yes on Prop 6. Dolores Chavez, president, Latino American Political Association. And Peggy Buff, president, California Women's Leadership Association. Prop 6 does two things. It repeals the massive increase in gas, diesel, and car taxes. It requires voter approval for any future attempt by the legislature to do it again. Well, the legislature can't, okay. The cost of living is skyrocketing here in California. These are, again, this is their argument in favor of Prop 6. Gas tax hike is not fair. It's a regressive tax. Hits working families and the poor much harder than the wealthy. Californians pay about 95.5 cents to the government on every gallon of gas. California has a $16 billion budget surplus. Legislature has actually reduced Caltrans funding by 18% over the last 10 years. 72% of all state motor vehicle-related taxes and fees collected by the state are used for programs other than streets, roads, and highways. Yeah, that's called transit funding. They claim an unbiased transportation experts agree the legislature needs to prioritize its spending, and gas and car tax hikes are not necessary to fix the roads. The legislature should clean up the corruption and inefficiency that causes California to spend 62% above the national average to build highway lanes. There were 1 million Californians hurt by high gas prices. Yes on Prop 6 to save your family hundreds of dollars a year by repealing the unnecessary gas and car tax increases. Okay. That's argument in favor of Prop 6. Prop 6, the Republicans want you to vote yes. The Democrats want you to vote no. So basically, here's the argument against Proposition 6, written by Brian K. Rice, President, California Professional Firefighters, Kwame Aguirre, Region Director, American Society of Civil Engineers, Doug Villers, President, California Association of Highway Patrolmen. Stop the attack on bridge and road safety. Prop 6 eliminates $5 billion annually in existing funds dedicated to fixing roads, bridges, and infrastructure. Prop 6 will stop projects currently underway throughout California to upgrade bridges and overpasses to meet earthquake safety standards and to improve the safety of our roads. There are 1,600 bridges and overpasses that are structurally deficient and unsafe here in California. 89% of counties have roads that are in poor or at-risk condition. Well, there's 58 counties, so figure 50 counties have roads that are in poor or at-risk conditions. The NHTSA There are 3,600 fatalities on California roads. There were in 2016. Prop 6 eliminates funding for more than 6,500 road safety and transportation improvement projects. 3,727 projects are fixing potholes and repaving crumbling unsafe roads, repairs or replacement of 554 bridges and overpasses. 453 improvements to public transportation operations and services, including buses and rail. 337 projects relieving traffic congestion. Now, voters overwhelmingly passed Prop 69 in June. That assured transportation funds and ensuring these funds are only used for transportation improvements. We should not eliminate transportation revenues that are accountable to taxpayers. Prop 6 eliminates thousands of jobs and hurts our economy. Public safety and local leaders oppose Proposition 6. In addition, California Chamber of Commerce, California League of Conservation Voters, State Building and Construction Trades Council of California, the Latin Business Association, California and NAACP, Congress of California Seniors, California League of United Latin American Citizens. All righty. We have 857, and that was Prop 6. And Republicans want a yes, Democrats want a no. And now Prop 7, I won't spend much time at because it's pretty straightforward. Both parties say vote yes, and if you, well, there we go. It establishes time zone designated by federal law as Pacific Standard Time as the standard time within California. Provides that California Daylight Saving Time begins at 2 a.m. on the second Sunday of March and ends at 2 a.m. on the first Sunday of November. Wait a minute, I believe that's this evening as well. Permits the legislature by 2/3 vote to make future changes to California's daylight saving time period, including for its year-round application, if changes are consistent with federal law. Okay. Argument in favor, written by Kansan Chu, California Assembly District 25. He's an assembly member. Assemblywoman Lorena Gonzalez of District 80, and Dr. Sion Roy, MD, cardiologist. And both parties say yes on this. University medical studies in 2012 found that the risk of heart attacks increases by 10% in the 2 days following a time change. In 2016, further research revealed that stroke risk increased 8% when we change our clocks. For cancer patients, the stroke risk increases 25%, and for people over age 65, stroke risk goes up 20%, all because we disrupt sleep patterns. Changing our clocks twice a year increases our use of electricity 4% in many parts of the world, increases the amount of fuel we use in our cars, and comes with a cost of $434 million. Since 2000, 14 countries have stopped changing their clocks, and now 68% of all countries don't do it. They allow nature to determine time, not their governments. Lowering health risks. Okay. And that's the argument in favor of Proposition 7. Argument against was written by Senator Hannah Beth Jackson of 19th Senate District and Assembly Member Philip Chen of the 55th District. Prop 7 will result in California switching to permanent daylight savings time. We tried this before and it was a disaster in 1974. It was supposed to last 16 months but was stopped after 10 months because people hated the fact that in the morning the sun rose too late. Daylight savings time does not create more hours of daylight, it just changes when those daylight hours occur. We have daylight savings time in the summer, so it is light after we get home from work, and we switch to standard time in the winter, so it's light in the morning. With permanent daylight savings time, sun will rise an hour later than if we were on standard time. If you live in Eureka or Susanville, it would still be dark at 8 a.m. on New Year's Day. If you live in Los Angeles or 29 Palms, the sun won't rise until 7:30 a.m. or later from November to February. Now, those of you who like to wake up with the sun will wake up in the dark. For those of you who get your exercise or attend religious services before work, you'll be doing it in darkness. Some make the argument that daylight savings time saves us energy or makes us safer. No scientific evidence of that. We now have daylight savings time in the summer so we can have extra light in the evening. Putting us on permanent daylight savings time will put us out of sync with our neighbors. While we'll always have the same time as Arizona, part of the year we'll have the same time as other mountain time states, and the rest of the year will be in line with Nevada, Oregon, Washington, and Mexico. Yes, it's a minor inconvenience when we spring ahead or fall behind. Avoiding these transitions is not worth the confusion with other states and times. Okay. Arguments for and against on Prop 7, both parties voting yes. And that's Prop 7, and we have, it is 9:04 p.m. You are web-tuned to the Voice of Stockton. I am Richard Slezak. This is the Saturday Evening News. We're going over the propositions. Now, we're on to a more controversial proposition than Prop 7, and it is as follows. It regulates amounts outpatient kidney dialysis clinics charge for dialysis treatment initiative statute, limits charges to 115% of the costs for direct patient care and quality improvement costs, including training, patient education, and technology support, requires rebates and penalties of charges exceed the limit, requires annual reporting to the state regarding clinic costs, patient changes, and revenues, prohibits clinics from refusing to treat patients based on the source of payment for care.
That's something. And it's a dialysis treatment. Over time, a person may develop kidney failure, also end-stage renal disease. This means that the kidneys no longer function well enough for the person to survive without a kidney transplant or ongoing treatment, referred to as dialysis. That artificially mimics what healthy kidneys do. Hemodialysis, a form of dialysis in which blood is removed from the body, filtered through a machine to remove waste and extra fluid, and then returned to the body, is what most people on dialysis undergo. Treatment lasts about 4 hours and typically occurs 3 times a week. Most dialysis patients receive treatment in clinics. And at chronic dialysis clinics, as of May 2018, 588 licensed chronic dialysis clinics in California provided treatment to roughly 80,000 patients each month. Each chronic dialysis clinic operates an average of 22 dialysis stations, with each station providing treatment to 1 patient at a time. California Department of Public Health is responsible for licensing and inspecting chronic dialysis clinics. Various entities own and operate chronic dialysis clinics. Figure 1. DaVita Incorporated, which is a for-profit company, operates 292, and they have 50% of the clinics. Fresenius Medical Care, it's for profit, and they are funding one of these proposition, one of the views on that ads, owns 129 clinics for 22%. The Satellite Healthcare, it's a nonprofit, operates 46 clinics. That's 8%. And U.S. Renal Care, they're a for-profit operation, operate 38 clinics. That's 6%. There's 83 other clinics are operated by other owners, and that's 14%. Payment for dialysis treatment comes from few main sources. Their revenues are about $3 billion a year. Revenues consist of payments for dialysis treatment from few main sources or payers. Medicare pays for dialysis treatment for the majority of people on dialysis in California. Medi-Cal Medicare covers most of the payment for dialysis treatment as the primary payer, and Medi-Cal covers the rest. For people enrolled only in Medi-Cal, the Medi-Cal program is solely responsible to pay for dialysis treatment. And the group and individual health insurance, California state government, the state's 2 public university systems, and many local governments in California provide group health insurance coverage for their current workers eligible required. Some people without group health insurance purchase health insurance individually. So when an insured person develops kidney failure, that person can usually transition to Medicare coverage. Federal law requires that a group insurer remain the primary payer for dialysis treatment for the coordination period that lasts 30 months. Group and individual insurers typically pay higher rates for dialysis than government programs. Medicare and Medi-Cal pay for dialysis treatment are relatively close to the average cost for kidney dialysis. Chronic dialysis clinics to provide a dialysis treatment and are largely determined by regulation. Group and individual health insurers establish their rates by negotiating with chronic dialysis clinics. These rates paid by these insurers depend on the relative bargaining power of the insurers and the CDCs. The proposal requires clinics to pay rebates when total revenues exceed a specified cap. Revenue cap based on specified chronic dialysis clinic costs. Interest and penalties on rebated amounts. Rebates calculated at owner-operator level. Legal process to raise revenue cap in certain situations. There's other requirements. Must submit annual reports. The amount of reports would list the number of dialysis treatments provided, the amount of allowable costs, the amount of the owner-operator's revenue cap, the amount by which revenues exceed the cap, and the amount of rebates paid. The measure also prohibits chronic dialysis clinics from refusing to provide treatment to a person based on who is paying for the treatment. California Department CDHP public health. To identify through regulation additional chronic dialysis clinic costs that would count as allowable costs, which could serve to reduce the amount of any rebates otherwise owed by chronic dialysis clinics. A swig of red cream soda. We have 9:13 here at the KXVS.org. I am Richard Slezak. We're going over the propositions. We're to Prop 8. Fiscal effects. It would reduce chronic dialysis clinics' profitability. There would be major sources of uncertainty. The impact of the measure would depend on how allowable costs are defined, including more costs as allowable would make revenue caps higher and allow chronic dialysis clinics to keep more of their revenues by requiring smaller rebates, including fewer costs as allowable would make revenue caps lower and allow clinics to keep less of their revenues by requiring larger rebates. It is uncertain how the California Department of Public Health, as the state regulator involved in implementing and enforcing the measure, and courts would interpret the measure's provisions defining allowable costs. The federal law requires chronic dialysis clinics to maintain certain staff positions as a condition of receiving Medicare reimbursements. Some of these required positions, including medical director and nurse manager, perform managerial functions but are also involved in direct patient care. The costs of these positions might not be considered allowable because the positions have managerial functions. The costs of those positions might be considered allowable because the positions relate to direct patient care. There's uncertainty how the chronic dialysis clinics would respond to the measure. some would, they could do any of the following: increase allowable costs, reduce other costs, seek adjustments to the revenue cap, scale back operations. They might decide to open fewer new chronic dialysis clinics or close some chronic dialysis clinics if the amount of required rebates is large and reduced revenues do not provide sufficient return on investment to expand or remain in the market. We have 917 here at KXVS.org. That takes place, other providers would eventually need to step in to meet the demand for dialysis. These other providers might operate less efficiently. Some other providers could potentially be exempt from the provisions of the measure if they do not operate under a chronic dialysis clinic license, for example, hospitals. Such broader changes in the dialysis industry are difficult to predict. There's impact of rebate provisions on state and local finances. The measure could generate state and local government employee health care savings or possibly costs. State Medi-Cal cost pressures. There's changes to state tax revenues. In light of significant uncertainty, overall effect on state and local finances is unclear. Overall, the effect could range from net positive impact in the low tens of millions of dollars if the measure is ultimately interpreted to have broader, more inclusive definition of allowable costs, such as by including costs for nurse managers and medical directors. The amount of rebates chronic dialysis clinics owner-operators are required to pay would be smaller. Under this interpretation, it is more likely that chronic dialysis clinic owner-operators would respond with relatively modest changes to their cost structures. So, to net negative impact in the tens of millions of dollars if the measure is ultimately interpreted to have a narrower, more restrictive definition of allowable costs. The amount of rebates chronic dialysis clinic owner-operators are required to pay would be greater. Under this interpretation, it is more likely that chronic dialysis clinic owner-operators would respond with more significant changes to their cost structures, particularly by increasing allowable costs. Chronic dialysis clinic owner-operators would also be more likely to seek adjustments to the revenue cap or scale back operations in the state. So that would drive up costs for those who pay. Other potential fiscal effects: if CDCs respond to the measure by scaling back operations in the state, some dialysis patients' access to dialysis treatment could be disrupted in the short run. This could lead to health complications that result in admission to a hospital. To the extent that dialysis patients are hospitalized more frequently because of this measure, state costs, particularly in Medi-Cal, could increase significantly in a short time. We estimate that the annual cost to fulfill these new responsibilities would not exceed the low millions of dollars annually. The measure requires the California Department of Public Health to adjust the annual licensing fee by CDCs, currently set at about $3,400 per facility, to cover these costs. Some of these administrative costs may also be offset by penalties paid by CDCs related to rebates or failure to comply with the measure's reporting requirements. Now, we're getting to 9:21 here at the Voice of Stockton, so I'll just finish it up with this. And argument in favor of Prop 6 is written by Tangi Foster, a dialysis patient, Gary Passmore, president of Congress of California Seniors, and Nancy Brasmer, president of California Alliance for Retired Americans. Now, dialysis is a life-saving treatment for patients with kidney failure in which their blood is taken out, cleaned, and put back in their body. Big corporate dialysis providers, which make billions by charging these critically ill patients as much as $150,000 a year, won't invest enough in basic sanitation. Bloodstains, cockroaches, and dirty bathrooms have all been reported in dialysis clinics, and patients' lives have been put at risk from exposure to dangerous infections and diseases. These high prices drive up health care costs for all Californians. Prop 8 will require the corporations to refund excessive profits that aren't spent on improving dialysis patient care. The largest company makes up its charges for some patients as much as marks up by 350% above the actual cost of providing care, or as much as $150,000 a year. Prop 8 will provide strong incentives for dialysis companies to lower costs and improve their quality of care, making patients the priority everywhere. Lower healthcare costs for everyone would result once insurance provider Blue Shield of California reported that it takes 3,800 other policy holders to offset the cost of one dialysis patient. Prop 8 will help lower the cost of health care for all Californians. It is supported by dialysis advocates, Californians for Disability Rights, CalPERS, Congress of California Seniors, Service SEIU, Minority Veterans Coalition in California. Okay, argument against Prop 8. And again, the Republicans want a no. So you heard the yes. Democrats want a yes. This is the Republican argument against it, written by Philip Bautista, RN, American Nurses Association. He's the president, Association of California. Theodore Mazer, MD, President, California Medical Association. Janie Mullen is president of College of Emergency Physicians, California chapter. And Prop 8 will force community dialysis clinics to cut services and close. Prop 8 will result in 83% of dialysis clinics operating at a loss. It disproportionately hurts disadvantaged communities. It increases costs for all Californians by hundreds of millions of dollars because the clinics will close. According to legislative analysts, the measure will increase taxpayer costs by $300 million per year. That's speculative. California dialysis quality ranks among the highest in the nation. They're highly regulated by federal and state regulators that provide quality reports on every facility. The California clinics outperform other states in clinical quality and patient satisfaction. So that's basically the argument against it. Now they claim California NAACP and National Hispanic Medical Association oppose it. And now a rebuttal to argument in favor of Prop 8 is an extension of the argument against Prop 8. Philip Bautista also wrote this. Terry Rico, a dialysis patient, and Mazur did as well. Okay. And then the rebuttal to argument against Prop 8, and it states in here, patients with kidney failure generally undergo dialysis 3 times a week where their blood is, patients and caregivers report unsafe conditions in dialysis clinics, including short staffing and poor sanitation and hygiene. Okay, dialysis corporations make huge profits at patient expense. There are times when there are no doctors on sites. Prop 8 pushes dialysis corporations to invest some of their profits to improve patient care. Overcharging drives up costs for all. They mark up cost of care for some patients by 350%. All righty. That was Prop 8. And we have 9:27 p.m. here at KXVS.org. And we'll call it a big show with that. And I know we didn't get to 10, 11, and 12. I might just do those tomorrow night for the general public. Okay, let's kind of wind things up since this show is being recorded, and we like to keep it within a time frame. That was a smooth transition. All righty, back on a good, that's a pretty good mic right here. Yeah, we're over the magic hour, so with that, we'll get to the propositions, further propositions in the next show. It is currently 9:28. This is the KXVS.org, and have a good rest of day. And we're continuing with live radio here, and that was the end of the recorded portion. I'm going to take down the YouTube and Facebook, and you can, thanks for watching.